Today we will go discuss about Hilbert transform. As we said, it's a very important transform which is actually used in communication to represent the quadrature component of the low pass equivalent signal. Again, just briefly, let's take a relook in what we discussed. In last lecture, we discussed about pre-envelope, which was the positive portion of the spectrum of the bandpass signal. We found that the time domain representation of that positive portion of the spectrum is with the scaling factor half x plus jx cap. This x cap is basically related to x via Hilbert transform. So x cap is x convolved with 1 by pi t, or in frequency domain it is if xt has a Fourier transform xf, then x cap t has a Fourier transform x cap f. The relationship between xf and x cap f is xf signum f with a minus j. That means for frequency greater than 0, signum f is 1. The x cap f is minus jxf, which is basically providing a minus pi by 2 phase shift. And for frequency less than 0, it has to be just opposite. Frequency less than 0, signum f is negative, so plus j. So x cap f is plus jxf. So phase wise, it is producing a minus pi by 2. So this relationship, it looks pretty simple, but it's quite difficult to implement. The magnitude of x cap t, the magnitude of xf is equal to magnitude of x cap f. As you can see from here, because magnitude of j signum f is 1. So magnitude wise, xt and x cap t both have the same magnitude of the spectrum is same. However, phase wise they are pi by 2 out of phase. So in order to generate x cap t from xt, it's basically an all pass filter. A transfer function is minus j signum f, which produces a phase shift of pi by 2 for the frequency components, positive frequency components, and plus pi by 2 for negative frequency components. And this all pass filter is known as quadrature filter or Hilbert transformer. The impulse response of that is 1 by pi t. So when you will study signal processing, digital signal processing, you would see that in many cases Hilbert transformer is designed in digital domain. In analog domain, it is not so easy to design a Hilbert transformer. Message signal is typically low pass, so you can easily digitize it. It's not a band pass signal. You do the processing in digital domain, you generate the quadrature component. So as you can see, this is the I component and this is the Q component. So in phase component, generate the quadrature component by using quadrature filter or Hilbert transformer, which you implement in using digital finite impulse response or kind of a filter. An ideal Hilbert transformer is impractical. It cannot be realized in practice because it is a kind of frequency response is an all pass filter, and phase difference is ideally minus pi by 2 for the positive frequency component. It's an impossible thing to design. What can be done is an approximation. An approximation, also you see ideal impulse response 1 by pi t. It goes t tends to infinity here. It is a non-causal, and it decays up till infinity. It goes up till minus infinity. So this is very difficult to realize. So what is done in a Hilbert transformer? We try to approximate over the band of frequency where we want to implement the quadrature component of the signal. So now we'll go into so this gives us the motivation for Hilbert transform. We'll study some of the properties of Hilbert transform. Again, strict definition of Hilbert transform. Xt, Hilbert transform is x cap t. So x cap t is basically xt convolved with 1 by pi t, which is 1 by pi limit epsilon tends to 0 plus. You see, this is an integral which involves singularity. So 1 by pi xt convolved with 1 by t is basically integration minus infinity. If you see what we derived some time back, yeah, 1 by pi minus infinity to infinity x tau divided by t minus tau d tau. At t equal to tau, this function is well behaved, but t equal to tau, we have 1 by t minus tau. This approaches singularity, depending on how it approaches, as t tends to tau from which side. So this has to be defined in some principal value sense. Recall Cauchy principal value of the definition of integral, principal value integral. So that's why around tau equal to t, we take a small interval and the interval is symmetric. So t minus epsilon to t plus epsilon. And because this function 1 by t minus tau is shooting to as t approaches, as tau approaches t minus epsilon, so we have something shooting to infinity, and as tau approaches t plus epsilon, we have something shooting to limit epsilon tends to 0 shooting to minus infinity. So around that region, symmetric region, where the value of the function x tau is fairly constant, the positive and the negative portions of the integral cancel each other. So the limit can be taken from minus infinity to t minus epsilon. In fact, t minus 1 by epsilon to t minus epsilon. And as epsilon tends to 0 plus, so this approaches minus infinity. We do this integral plus t plus epsilon to t plus 1 by epsilon. So as epsilon approaches 0 plus, we have this term shooting to infinity. So by removing a symmetric portion of epsilon, very small amount of portion of integral around the point of singularity where the function is fairly constant, function is not singular, and because of the fact that it shoots to minus infinity and plus infinity as you approach from both sides, so the integral value cancels with each other, we arrive at x cap t in the sense of principal value, Cauchy principal value integral. This is a very important definition when it is implemented in numerical, using numerical methods. So some of the very important properties: if xt is cosine omega ct, x cap t becomes sine omega ct. You just think from the phase point of view. You can just substitute the phase minus j signum f, and you see the spectrum, and it becomes sine. If xt is sine omega ct, x cap t is minus cosine omega ct. Again, can be directly derived from here. If xt has a Hilbert transform x cap t, the Hilbert transform of x cap t is minus xt. So again, you can look from the frequency domain perspective. So minus j signum f, again you multiply minus j signum f, so we have minus signum f square. So we have a minus sign. Okay. So the Hilbert transform relationship is very interesting. If you take the Hilbert transform twice, you get back the original signal with a minus sign, 180-degree phase shift. I mean, it makes sense. 90-degree phase shift here, again another 90-degree phase shift, you get minus. So you take 4 times, you will end up with 270, and then 360 degree, you get back the original signal. Okay, good. Another very important property is xt, x cap t are orthogonal from over the whole range of the signal definition. That means minus infinity to infinity. So this orthogonality property, that means the in phase component of the signal is orthogonal to the quadrature phase component of the signal. So orthogonality property, xt, x cap t dt minus infinity to infinity equal to 0 for energy signals, and for power signals is defined as minus t to plus t with a normalizing factor 1 by 2t, limit t tends to infinity. Definition of orthogonality. Again, this can be proved xt x cap t dt. You substitute the definition in frequency domain and you can easily arrive at this result. Okay. Okay. So, or you can use the time domain result also. You substitute x cap t here. So we have xt multiplied by xt convolved with 1 by pi t. Then convolution, go back to frequency domain and you can establish the results. If xt is ut minus tau, consider an important signal. This is a practical communication signal, a pulse. We want to calculate what is the Hilbert transform of that pulse. A pulse baseband signal, most important baseband signal, over a duration tau, magnitude is 1. So basically I will do a baseband signal is digital signal. And then I want to do a bandpass transmission, single sideband transmission. We will later see. We need x cap t, the q component. This is the in-phase component. This is the quadrature component. So pulse is expressed as ut minus tau, unit pulse. So we want to calculate what is the Hilbert transform of x cap t. Here's an example. We do this integral 1 by pi. We basically try to do this integral and we try to find out what is the result. So so this is a pulse, and how does 1 by t minus tau look? So let's say there is a position t, and at t tends to 1 by t minus tau, it looks like this. As t approaches as lambda, let's say 1 by t minus lambda, as lambda approaches t from negative side, shoots to infinity, and when it crosses t, it shoots to minus infinity and it approaches 0. So this is an odd function. Okay, this is an even function. In that case, then this is an odd function with respect, if it is shifted with respect to tau with respect to t equal to 0. So we divide into 4 cases. T lying between 0 to tau by 2, t lying between tau by 2 to tau, t less than 0, t greater than tau. So the choice of t for the case t less than 0, t can lie here. This is lambda. T can lie here. Less than 0, t can lie greater than tau. T lies if the mid region of the pulse is tau by 2, t lies between 0 and tau by 2, and t lies between tau by 2 to tau. We break this integral into 4 cases, case A, case B, case C, case D. Okay, fine. So let's see the case when t lies between 0 and half of the duration of the pulse. So 0 to tau by 2. So for example, the case drawn here. So this integral is basically, you see, between 0 to t and t to 2t, there is a positive portion and there is a negative portion of the integral, which exactly magnitude wise are same, sign wise different, and they cancel each other. So this integral boils down to 2t to tau. That is the relevant portion of the integral which is left. So x cap t is 1 by pi, 2t to tau, 1 by t minus lambda d lambda. That's it, which boils down to 1 by pi ln t by tau minus t. For the case when t is just opposite, that means t is greater than midwidth of the pulse and t lies here, the region from t to tau has a negative value of the integral. Region from t to 2t minus tau has a positive portion of the integral, which cancel each other. So the integral basically So integral between 2t minus tau to tau, they cancel each other. And this integral boils down to integration from 0 to 2t minus tau. So 0 to 2t minus tau, you get 1 by pi ln t by tau minus t again. Okay. Now coming to the case where t is less than 0. T is less than 0 or t is greater than tau. This case C and case D. T is less than 0. So if t is less than 0, let me shift here. The singularity is located for t less than 0. So this integration for this region does not have any component of the pulse. So integration is 0. Xt is 0. For the case where the pulse exists, that means 0 to tau. So this integration boils down to 1 by pi 0 to tau d lambda t minus lambda, which is again 1 by pi ln t by t minus tau. For t greater than tau, that means singularity lies here. The singularity position does not contain the pulse. So the integration is again 0 to tau d lambda by t minus tau, and it is 1 by pi ln t by t minus tau. If we combine case A, case B, case C, case D together, you see it boils down to x cap t is 1 by pi ln mod t by t minus tau for all values of t. Okay. Combining these four cases together. How does it look? So if xt looks like this, as it's in a pulse, x cap t ln t by t minus tau has singularity located at the position t equal to 0 and t equal to tau. T equal to 0 approaches minus infinity. At t equal to tau, it approaches plus infinity. And the function at tau by 2, when t is tau by 2, so it is ln 1 is 0. Function value is 0. So at the discontinuities of the pulses, at the discontinuity, there is one discontinuity in here. The quadrature component shoots to minus infinity. It has sharp this thing. Transits from sharply from minus infinity to 0 at the middle of the pulse, and at the second discontinuity of the pulse, which is the t equal to tau, it shoots to plus infinity. So this, even though you see, very interesting thing, even though xt and x cap t, they have the same frequency magnitude response, just by altering the phase by 90 degree. Just by altering the phase by 90 degree, you get a signal which is drastically different from the square pulse, which is extremely discontinuous, shoots to infinity, has singularity located at the discontinuity of the signal, and is these kind of signals create problem for transmission in the bandpass region. If you see in the assignment, when we'll do raised cosine pulse, we'll try to see how the corresponding, if the signal is raised cosine instead of this ut minus tau ideal rectangular pulse, we'll try to see how the quadrature, the Hilbert component, quadrature component looks. Probably it won't be that much, that much singular at the two endpoints. We'll try to see by numerical computation. Okay. Now we move to some properties of Hilbert transform. One of the important property is linearity. So Hilbert transform of two functions g1t is g1 cap, g2t is g2 cap. If I have a combination of a1 g1t plus a2 g2t, Hilbert transform is a1 g1 cap plus a2 g2 cap for a1 a2 arbitrary scalar constant. Hilbert transform of a constant. What is Hilbert transform of a constant? It's 0. Why? How do you establish this? Hilbert transform of a constant is 0. A constant in time domain, constant signal, basically it's a DC value, has something at t equal to 0, f equal to 0 in the spectrum. Signum f, you multiply, give a pi by 2 phase shift and everything. At that point, because it's located at 0, the phase shift is 0. Okay, and okay, you can further substitute back here also to get a picture. Constant 1 by t minus tau, 1 by t minus tau. These two integral cancel each other, the negative and the positive portion, irrespective of whichever point. Because this 1 by t minus tau or 1 by t minus lambda, this function is an odd function. If you do an integration over a constant, unless there is a variation in signal, it is 0. C is an arbitrary constant. So if you have a signal GT whose Hilbert transform is G cap, if the signal is DC shifted, there is a DC shift, the Hilbert transform remains as it is. If I do an inverse Hilbert transform back from G cap, I get GT. That means I lose the DC offsets. So for a signal which has a DC shift, the Hilbert transform is as if the original signal without the DC shift, DC offset. Okay, the time shifting property. If I have a signal delayed by t naught, the Hilbert transform would be the Hilbert transform original signal delayed by t naught. Time dilation property. If I have a signal dilated by a time a, that means time scale, scaling in time, so that's known as the dilation property. So G of at, the Hilbert transform of that signal is G cap at, dilated in time, similar amount, multiplied by sigma a, provided a is not equal to, for all a not equal to 0. If a is equal to 0, definitely doesn't make much sense. So sigma a, this is important, sign of a. Convolution. If two signals, there is a very important property, G1t convolved with G2t. If I want to calculate the Hilbert transform of the convoluted signal, so it may happen that one is an input to a filter, the other is my filter impulse response. So the output is input convert within impulse response, and henceforth I want to calculate the Hilbert transform of the output. We'll see that it's nothing but the original signal Hilbert transform of the quadrature component of the original signal input signal convert with the impulse response of the filter, or vice versa. So it's G1 cap convert with G2, or G2 cap convert with G1. Idea is very simple. What does Hilbert transform do? Hilbert transform is basically some kind of convolution with the function 1 by pi t. X cap is xt convert with 1 by pi t. Okay. So G1t convert with G2t, Hilbert transform is G1t convert with G2t convert with 1 by pi t. Use the commutative property. You can keep G1t constant and you have G2t convolved with 1 by pi t, which gives you G2 cap, or you can keep G1t G2t constant and you can have G1t convolved with 1 by pi t, which gives you G1 cap. Okay. Time derivative. Hilbert transform of derivative of GT is basically derivative of Hilbert transform of GT. So you can directly plug in the relationships and can obtain this result. This we already know, Fourier transform relationship. So GT has a Hilbert Fourier transform GF. The Hilbert transform of GT is G cap T. This is a Fourier transform G cap F. Then G cap F and GF are related by G cap F is minus G signum GF. This is the Hilbert transform filter, which provides this, from relationship in GF to G cap F. Magnitude is 1. The phase is minus pi by 2 for positive frequency, plus pi by 2 for negative frequency. Now, if GT is real, if it's a real signal, the characteristic of the Fourier spectrum is it's Hermitian symmetric. GF is symmetric, Hermitian symmetric. That means the negative frequency G of minus F is conjugate of the positive frequency, G conjugate F, positive frequency, yeah, conjugate of positive frequencies. So, if that is the case, what can we conclude from G cap T, about G cap T? So, G cap F is what? Minus J signum GF. So, minus J, actually it's made a mistake, minus J signum F GF, it's not signum GF. So, please correct this, minus J signum F GF. So, if you have this Hermitian symmetry, then G cap F is also Hermitian symmetric, right? Because we have minus J on one side, we have plus J on another side, okay? So, it's also Hermitian symmetric. Now, if G cap F is Hermitian symmetric, then what do we get? G cap T is also real, okay? Now, come to the special case. If GT is even, GT is even function. Even function means, for example, GT is a pulse from minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. You know the pulse that we discussed here, if it is shifted with respect to time t and offset with respect to time t, we get an even function. If GT is even, GF is Hermitian symmetric definitely. What is the additional property you get? GF is also real. Yeah, you know from Fourier transform property. Now, if GF is real, what can we conclude from G cap F? Signum F GF, GF is real, you have J. So, G cap F is purely imaginary number. If G cap F is purely imaginary, then what can we conclude from the inverse Fourier transform of G cap F? G cap T is odd function. So, if GT is even, G cap T is odd. Recall this result. If this is shifted by time tau by 2, we have an even function, and this then becomes an odd function. You have a negative, you have a positive portion around if it is shifted, time shifted about tau by 2. Okay. Similarly, if GT is odd function, G cap is even function. Okay. Now recall the orthogonality property. We said GT, G cap T or XT, X cap T, they are orthogonal to each other. It can be very easily explained from here, because an even function, its Hilbert transform is odd, an odd function, its Hilbert transform is even. A combination of them, any function can be written as combination of even and odd. Similarly, its Hilbert transform can be written as combination of odd and even, and you can derive the results. Okay. So, this is a very important conclusion of the property of Hilbert transform. In the next lecture, we'll discuss about two more important properties. One is low pass high pass products, which we use actually to derive the results of the amplitude modulation, and another is Hilbert transform of the amplitude modulated signals. So these two we'll discuss in next lecture. Thank you very much.